Everybody, Brian here from quantlabs.net. So I just posted, or will be posting, an article on how hard is it to get into quantitative finance in your 30s, maybe even 40s. I thought I would, over the weekend, go over what's the process of what it's like to go through a Rentech HFT job. So I thought, why not do some research? So this is what I found. I found this article here on Glassdoor. We have here some reviews, salaries, jobs, interviews. So right now, let's just go through the interview section and the typical questions you may be asked for interviews. These are not easy questions. Now remember, I've been doing software for a long time, probably older than the majority of people that visit this website. But let's see what we have here. So the first review is they asked around 10 probability computer science and math questions. How fast can you find the max in a shorted list of numbers? So I'm not going to go through that answer. Here's another question. Let me just see here. Hopefully this will give me access still. Okay. So research tech leader called me for screening. He introduced the company, this job, blah blah blah. He invited me to ask any questions. After that, I began technical questions, which are heavily related to Linux, C++. So if you're ever interested in this company, you better be prepared, because even for me, in my experience, I probably wouldn't know these answers as well. But just to prepare you, what kind of things you need to know. However, the questions he asked are far beyond the mainstream. He asked about the Linux version, kernel version, GCC version, and then he asked the prototype of standard move function. Wow, he expected me to answer. Then he asked about the template, type make standard remove, reference T, type move, no exceptions. What? It's not the type of technical interview I imagine. After another few such questions, I just cannot tolerate anymore. Can you ask questions that wouldn't be easily looked online or in manuals? He paused for a few seconds, said, "Sorry, you're not qualified for this position." They said they want C++ expert for this position. Okay, I got what their expert means. So you better be very prepared for this. Let me see if I can look this up in another browser here. Hey everybody, okay, so here we are, finally in Glassdoor here. Shouldn't have any problems and limitations. Okay, so now let's go back to where we were. So we've gone through this. So basically, they want you to what prototype of a standard move function, what's the return type of time function. So to me, these are standard simple coding questions. This one might be a little tough, but if you've worked enough with C++, these should not be real tough to answer. They don't want beginners. They're not there as a learning ground on C++. They would expect you to be, I would imagine, to be a C++ expert, standard. So let's see some of their different interviews. I've shown you two. So we've got here, that one we just covered off. That's not an easy one. Add a review or a salary to unlock more on Glassdoor. I'm already logged in. What do I... Okay, I'll come back in a minute. All right, so we got 4 interview questions I can go through, but I think those were the best ones. This is the third browser, by the way. long, hour-long research talk, many one-on-one, two-on-one with 12 to 14 people. Dinner, several questions on my talk, many standard quant. Brain teasers that were fairly easy and not well prepared at the time and did poorly. Most people were quite friendly, odd personalities as well, which you can expect because these are pretty well smart people. Some 2-in-1 with each, and the CEO just left me alone in his office to work out a problem without talking much. Wow, so in the CEO office, amazing. They mostly hire experienced people from academia or industrial research. That needs to be key. Very good experience. Here's a question. So probability of revolving seat after feedback. Here's real question about finding a two-headed coin in a pile. Now, I would not be surprised if it was revolving seating. It's probably Robert Murphy's question. Well, he's pretty well a conservative because he likes his Donald Trump. So, booyah there. I've spent the day talking to 8 different people, starting with the most junior and ending with a chief scientist. Wow. People were in general quite friendly, and most were interested in assessing my competence rather than assessing personality types of performance. Employee were of the type usually found in physics departments. A bunch of quite smart people with a mix of oddball personality traits. It's the second one you got there. Okay, three reviews. So let's see what we got here. I've been work pros. Some of the older people still like rage comments. I don't know what that means. Limited training available for new employees. Again, I don't know why people. He's a help desk. Why would you expect training? You know, you're working at Renaissance Technology, and they expect you to be a expert at what you do. We need more peeps around the office. Spend more time creating training sessions. Interesting and engaging clients that allow for a lot of new thinking as you go. Unfortunately, there's a bit of a caste system tied to who you know. Yeah, that makes sense because a lot of I'm going to give you a hint. If you want to see the types of people that Rentech hire, go into LinkedIn, go look up Renaissance Technologies and look for the people that work at these companies. I've done it. I would not reveal some of the privacy who works there, but you can easily find that and see what they do and the level of experience prior to Rentech. On top of that, what you'll find is that a lot of people have been there for 20 plus years. From what I gather, most of these people are probably in the compensation levels of around $600,000 plus a profit. A lot of the profit also goes directly to the owners, and apparently there's 4 owners in the company, four CEO, co-CEOs. Obviously, Bob Mercer, and James Simmons are not as active, but there's 2 other guys there, I would think. Long work hour bursts associated with uneven nature of custom project work, nature of the business. So there you go. So those are the reviews. Here's some of the jobs: tax analyst, computer programmer, network engineer. Now I think, yeah, so these are the last postings on Long Island in New York. Oh, no, we don't want that. So let's see what we have here. So those are the jobs. Let's see some of the salaries. System analyst 128, mathematical researcher 174. Now remember, the total comp goes up to I don't know if this is the base pay, 207. That's pretty good. Software developer 150, operation research, blah 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 blah. So they're in line with the market, but I did read somewhere that the average with the compensation of the medallion fund, because you become part of that, you are in the neighborhood of about, on average, from what I'm reading, $600,000. Pretty sweet. Okay, so let's go over to the Rentech website and what kind of jobs they have. Now, I've done this a few years ago, and they did list some of their previous jobs with specific job skills. So if you're a network engineer, you can learn more. So here's standard stuff that you need to know. TCP/IP, DNS, DHCP. They keep it very vague. All this stuff. Management, scripting to automate. Very vague on the type of. So here, expect to participate in after hours and work on call rotation. Research scientist. Again, mathematics, statistics, related discipline, first class research, strong programming skills, which we've already covered, and computer programmer. Let's see what they got here. So here you go. As we've hinted, you've got to be C++, preferably version 11, programming tools, and a Linux, Unix environment. Now, if you're looking to understand kernel related, I would strongly recommend, as you heard me say earlier, they expect you to be knowledgeable in the kernel area and whacking the weeds of the Linux operating system. I would strongly recommend you to dig into FreeBSD, which is more a free Unix version, not Linux. There is some distinctions there, and I do believe that the particular operating system that Rentech uses is Sun OS, Solaris. So yes, that's probably what they use with a lot of Sun boxes there. Old hardware. I'm sure they've updated. Okay, so real-time programming, that's a big deal. Order handling, real-time risk, regulatory and operations reporting, real-time accounting. So you'll be supporting financial markets and trading algorithms in a real-time environment, which means very high-pressured environment. Data processing, again, C++, Linux, Unix to write, prove, test, and maintain programs for various examples, experience, basic knowledge of statistics. I think you'd be more than that. Again, financial infrastructure. So it looks like they have a lot of house tools. Except for this guy, Advent, Geneva, and C++. Risk management, accounting, financial computation, Postgres, Java. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. You need to know Java is a priority, automation, fund accounting, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is nothing to do with the quant, but obviously, if we look up Advent, Geneva, to figure out what that is, this is a third-party tool that Rentech uses. Let me just show you what it is. It's a software solution overview, real-time portfolio management. So trade capture, full portfolio, fund, investor accounting, reporting at the core, global investment. So this is what they use. General ledger database, probably using, I don't know, I'm going to assume Postgres is there's choice, integrity, timeliness. So explore your options. So let's see, for hedge fund, real-time P&L, reconciliation reporting. So client stories, feature client, CIBC, key features, real-time dashboard, report, P&L, simplified. So I'm going to take a large assumption here is that their API probably is written in either Java or C++, because they put a lot of stress on Java. So it's probably what they're. I'm going to take a large assumption that's what they're using. So good to know here, because these skills, fund accounting, tax, risk management, financial computation, is probably definitely tied in with this Advent Geneva. Now, years ago, if you go to my blog, I've done some other job descriptions. Now, things obviously can change at Rentech. Let's see if we get Rentech jobs. Like if I had any job descriptions here. Rentech jobs reveal some secrets. Rentech jobs reveal quite a bit. Rentech executives intend to fix. Rentech HFT say. So let's look at open source free BSD. So if you go to my blog and you look up, as I suggest here, you may want to look up free BSD to play with it to really beef up your skills in the Linux. So what they've done is they've gotten even more vague over the last few years. So this article was done last year in April. Lots of articles here on that. So you may want to play around with that. How does HFT keep it secret? Okay, we don't need to know that. FreeBSD with C++ Java stripped down for lowest latency. So here, this article may be helpful for anybody on my blog. I'll read out the headline. What do you think? Which do you think is the most profitable in HFT? Market making, event driven, and stat arb. And there's a whole discussion about this from various people. That is pretty old, I imagine. Let me just see how old that article is. So that will be 2011. Tech job study of Mana HF lead. We know about the Trump thing. Who cares about that? Here we go. So Rentech HFT tech job descriptions reveal quite a bit. Let's go through this. So you can see here of all the various job descriptions I posted here. This is back on my day and what I showed on the website currently. Like literally with maybe 3 lines, Rentech has had a lot more job skills needed in Rentech. So you may want to visit this article again if you are interested. Rentech HFT job description reveal quite a bit. That's the title. So if you go through here, you can see exactly the kind of tools that they're using. So here we have mail server administrator, security, protocols, DNS, send mail, postfix, exchange, administering mail systems. So send mail, usually whatever they list is on the technical skill is usually their first one that they may use. So here's the preferred skills: Windows, Linux. And here's some of the libraries, open source, proprietary. This is what they use: Open, LDAP, ISC, DHCP, NFS, Open AFS, Hemdel, Kiribati for the encryption, so on and so forth. Cyrus, IMAP, Open SSL. Computer programming. Now, this is the key. So you obviously have half whom have PhD in scientific disciplines. So half of the employees over at Rentech are PhDs. Spectrum opportunities for individuals. Experience with tax-related computations. Wash sales. I don't know that. Strong analytics skills. Again, so they have mentioned Advent Geneva, Java, C++. So they're probably using Java with this thing. Ability to deploy cost computations and trading models. Now here's where the interesting thing is. We have 2 new other positions. Well, actually quite a bit. So we have a system administrator posting here. Posted Linux server desktop applications, network protocol. Unix, Linux system internals. So here we go. Kernel, drivers, file systems, and virtual memory. So as a system administrator, those are the key skills you'll need to know in terms of Linux system. Now, when you apply to Rentech, because now this is all assumption here, because you're only getting like 2-3 line job descriptions, they're probably, if you're applying for a C++ job, they're going to probably drill you on these technical levels. Linux system internals, kernel drivers, file systems, and virtual memory. You better know that stuff inside out, all the different libraries. And again, as I said, you may want to play around with the free BSD to really get that up to par. Here's the interesting thing. Preferred skills, open source and proprietary infrastructure services, bind, free radius, open LDAP, ISC DHP, DHCP, NFS, Kerberos, OpenSSL, integrating into the existing infrastructure, debugging and patching them. So again, these skills that I've already listed here at the library is very, very important to know. Again, experience implementing, operating, and supporting, once again, open source tools for system and security monitoring. Unix, Linux platform, you might want to take a note here on the specifics. MRTG, syslogging, XY monitor, Puppet, Chef, and CF engine. Knowledge of scripting. Perl is probably what they're using, so you may need to be strong in that. TCL, Bash, Ruby to automate tasks. So I would not be surprised, knowing the age of the developers there, that you will need to know Perl. Okay, so I said here in this article back in April 2016. So here, what did I say? We'll get into the system administrator here. So it said here, this job listing really details emphasis on data sent throughout the entire internetwork. So that is a big hint. Boom, boom. Okay, so let's continue with the network engineer. What do we got here? Applicants, board, secure troubleshooting, deploying, supporting troubleshooting, the blah, blah, blah. Minimum 2 years deploying, hands-on experience. So this is now hardware they're looking for network engineer. Enterprise class router, switch, firewall, including Cisco, non-Cisco environment. Good understanding, knowledge of TCP/IP, DNS, DHP, DHCP, OSPF, and BGP. BGP for encryption. Now, here's where it gets really important if you're going to do this. Excellent troubleshooting and creative problem-solving abilities, including packet-level traffic analysis. Okay, and I'm sure they're looking for any funky stuff that their quant guys or developers are trying to maybe figure out for security purposes. That's what they're looking for. Been in those environments. Preferred skills. Okay, Linux, Windows, infrastructure, open LDAP, blah, blah, blah. So we've gone through these. Oh, here's some new ones. Experience implementing, operating Linux open source tools for network and security monitoring management. Unix, Linux platform, MRTG, which we mentioned, syslog, ng, xymon, snort, circuit, bro, and flowscan and silk. Wow. Okay. There you go. That's another job description for that department. Okay, so we got 2 more skills here that we're going to look at. Let's look at the programming. Obviously, they're looking for bright, systematic trading. You'll be joining a group of roughly 150 people, half of whom have PhD in scientific disciplines. Let me repeat, scientific disciplines like physics is the preferred one from what I've always read. Excellent academic record, programming skills, nothing there. We offer on-the-job training in finance and technical trading. Intellectually vibrant work environment. Extremely high compensation. 125 and 250 depending on background and experience. And again, that's your probably most likely your base pay, not including your total compensation. That's pretty good, especially at 250 if you got the experience. Now we get into the more juicy stuff, which is probably the highest paying in the whole firm. Research and programming opportunities. Looking for highly trained professionals. Now, again, highly trained. These are not intern level or just entry level. They're probably looking for, as we said earlier, expert level. We mentioned that in the interview. Okay, we know about that. PhD. Ideal candidate will have a PhD, computer science, math, physics, statistics, or related discipline. Demonstrated capacity to do first-class research. That's why they're going to ask you those tough questions. Computer programming skills, intense interest in applying quantitative analysis. Now, if you're just going in just to collect the paycheck, you better not apply. You only have one opportunity. So this is where you need to show why and how you have a huge interest in this field. Interesting thing is when the podcast I listened to from the guy that runs, I can't remember, Estimize or whatever the company is, he said that that Rentech get any type of data and they subscribe to it. So they subscribe to all, sounds like they subscribe to all data sources out there, like Quandl, his company, and whatever else there is. Ideal programming. Now, remember, this is ideal, so you have to have strong analytical programming skills, in-depth software development in C++, Unix environment. No, notice here it doesn't say Linux, Unix. So again, that means probably forget the Linux and just focus on FreeBSD as a highly recommended thing to know about. I saw one of these say that they focus on equity, futures, and FX only, no options trading. I thought they'd be something that they would be doing. Okay. So you want a job for getting into Rentech? Here's a resource over at Wall Street Oasis. Yes, it's next to impossible into Rent. This is from that Wall Street Oasis. So it said, yeah, it's possible to get into Rentech. It's probably the single most difficult hedge fund to get into. I applied with great UG grades in pure math, best school in Canada, probably U of T or Waterloo, and took every course available in stochastic processing analysis, represented my school in Putnam, and had a top MFE where I was class president. Wow, and this guy had a 3.9 GTA. I'm a ninja in MATLAB. I wrote an exquisite cover letter on how to referral from a Princeton math PhD that runs his own firms. The response was, this is funny. Thank you for your interest. Unfortunately, you do not meet the criteria for our positions. I find that's very, very funny. Because you probably don't qualify because you're coming out of math. They want people coming out of science. So here it says you have a better chance of getting into NASA than Renaissance Technologies. That's absolutely hysterical. It shows you how hard it is. Now we got in this other article called Rentech HFT Tech Jobs Reveal Some Secrets. So let's take a look at these. Now this article came out in April 3rd, 2016. Let's see. Is this? Oh no, this is just an email thing. All right, so that's pretty well it. Giving you some good tips here, and I would probably jump on knowing this stuff, and you only have really one chance to apply. But if you get a guy from Princeton or a recommendation for Princeton, runs his own firm with a 3.9, plus he was class president, well, you know why he may not have gotten the job, because he just wasn't strong enough in the operating system, nor was he strong enough in the C++, as some of the examples. So be aware, you better pray that you are damn good at C++ and the low-level stuff. Hopefully this will help you out, and good luck. Oh, and as I said, strong recommendation is to go through some of the LinkedIn profiles and try to find Renaissance Technology employees and see their level of experience before they went into HFT, their education, their level of experience, how long they've been in at Renaissance Technology. It will really open your eyes. So that's another recommendation, and hopefully this will help you out. Have a good day. Later.